Welcome to the Perry Company installation video for the Guardian line of tractor canopies. Upon opening the box, you'll find your new Guardian canopy with the upper brackets mounted to the frame. You'll also find a bracket box that contains your hardware kit, lower brackets, the adjustable height lock mechanism, and the installation guide. If your roll bar is vertical or is positioned at less than a 15-degree angle with a rearward leaning or forward leaning roll bar, use the 1/2 inch by 3 inch bolt for these next steps. If your roll bar is positioned at greater than a 15-degree angle with a rearward leaning or forward leaning roll bar, use the 1/2 inch by 5 inch bolt provided. First, assemble the adjustable height locking mechanism. Use the proper bolt for your unit. Put the bolt through the non-radiused side of the adjustable height lock bracket. Hand tighten a flange nut onto the end of this bolt. On the same bolt, hand tighten a second flange nut, this time making sure that the serrated side is facing away from the adjustable height lock bracket. Place a third flange nut onto this bolt as shown. Take the 1/2 inch by 1 1/4 inch bolt and put it through the radiused side of the adjustable height lock bracket as shown. Place this bolt through the hole behind the top bracket as shown. Hand tighten the flange nut to this bolt in order to attach the adjustable height lock mechanism to the frame. Repeat these steps for the opposite frame rail. Next, position the lower bracket flush with the upper bracket attached to the unit shown here. Put one of the 1/2 inch by 4 inch carriage bolts through the slotted holes in both brackets as shown. Hand tighten a flange nut onto the end of this bolt, but only a 1/2 inch onto the threads of the bolt. Repeat for the other side. Next, we will install the canopy on the unit. Mount the canopy on the roll bar by sliding the upper bracket on top of the roll bar and the lower bracket beneath the roll bar. The carriage bolt that connects the two will be behind the roll bar as shown. To secure the canopy in place, take each of the two remaining 1/2 inch by 4 inch carriage bolts and put them through the bottom bracket as well as the top bracket through the square hole visible in front of the roll bar. Hand tighten a 1/2 inch serrated flange nut onto each of these bolts. Now it's time to center your brackets and canopy on the roll bar and set the correct angle for your unit. Once the brackets are centered left to right, slide the canopy and brackets back until the carriage bolts in front are in contact with the roll bar. Tighten these two flange nuts. This time, simply slide the carriage bolts so that they make contact with the roll bar. Tighten both of these flange nuts. At this point, all 4 carriage bolts should be in contact with the roll bar and should be securely holding the upper and lower brackets in place. Finally, remove the bottom flange nut from the adjustable height mechanism. Pulling the rear of the canopy down to meet the upper bracket, slide this bolt through the small slot remaining in the upper bracket. Replace the removed flange nut on the bottom of the bolt and tighten both flange nuts on either side of the upper bracket to secure it in place at the correct angle. Repeat this for both adjustable height mechanisms. Once this is completed, make a final check that all bolts and nuts are securely fastened. Once you've done that, your canopy should be secured. If the roll bar on your unit leans forward, there are a few things you'll want to do differently. Firstly, you'll need to remove the upper brackets that come attached to your canopy and invert them, attaching them to the opposite sides as shown. Again, if your roll bar is vertical or is positioned at less than a 15-degree angle with a rearward leaning or forward leaning roll bar, use the 1/2 inch by 3 inch bolt for these next steps. If your roll bar is positioned at greater than a 15-degree angle with a rearward leaning or forward leaning roll bar, use the 1/2 inch by 5 inch bolt provided. After inverting the upper brackets, install both adjustable height lock mechanisms in the holes in front of the upper brackets as shown. When situating the brackets around the roll bar, slide the brackets as far back as they'll go, making sure the wide portion of the upper bracket is positioned on top of the roll bar. To complete the installation, simply follow the same instructions as the rearward or vertical installation. Congratulations on the install of your new Guardian tractor canopy.